Now, US politics is going to inject itself into our election campaign come Thursday when we find out what tariffs Donald Trump is going to impose on trading partners with the US right around the world, possibly including Australia. It's one issue where Peter Dutton and Anthony Albanese seem to be in agreement.
I'll stand up for Australia's national interests. That's my job.
The President of the United States is going to stand up for America. I'm going to stand up for Australia.
I asked Kristin Tate about the conflict here between President Trump appealing to his domestic constituency but harming friends in the rest of the world.
Yeah, I mean, look, Australia does not have many significant tariffs on many U.S. products. And in fact, the U.S. has a trade surplus with Australia. Having said that, Albanese has said some very unflattering things about Donald Trump in the past. And personal relationships are very important to Donald Trump. Chris, I would say personal relationships are prioritized more by Trump than our political similarities or differences. So it would have been smarter to have for a long time now been working to build a strong relationship with President Trump to figure this out. Trump is also obviously irritated by the discounted purchases that Australia is making through its pharmaceutical benefits scheme. But look, I think that at the end of the day, things are going to work out here. The president is, I think, mostly trying to project strength to the world, that America will no longer be taken advantage of, and that we here at home in the U.S. need to, be more self-sufficient and produce more of our own products.
Yeah, it's a pretty strong domestic message. Here's the president.
We have some big things we're going to be announcing over the next 2 days, and you know very well, Peter, and I think it's going to be something that's going to bring a lot of wealth back to our country, tremendous wealth back to our country, actually. And other countries are understanding it because they've been ripping us for 50 years. Longer, but they've been ripping us off for years, right from the beginning.
Yeah, it's all about America hitting back at countries that have been ripping it off, so to speak. But, Kristin, you've got to understand a country like Australia, a strong ally of the United States. We have a free trade agreement with the United States. We don't put tariffs on products coming into our country. We're an open trading nation. The pharmaceutical benefits scheme that you mentioned, that's just a way of government subsidising downwards the vital medicines that people need. So any attack on that will be really seen as an attack on Australians by America, because what you're talking about here, what Donald Trump needs to understand is the wrong move will really damage a very important relationship.
I agree with you. Look, on the medicines, what makes Americans so angry is that so many foreign nations pay less for pharmaceuticals than we do here in the United States. But look, I just go back to this. Albanese made a severe mistake by not working to develop a stronger relationship with President Trump in the past. That would have made things go a lot more smoothly here. But I actually do feel good about the relationship moving forward and about the situation. We do have a very good relationship with Australia. You have a lot of natural resources that we depend on. So I actually am pretty optimistic. And remember, Donald Trump is a very pragmatic president.
He sure is. So we can't wait for Liberation Day, as it's called. It'll be Thursday here and we'll be all over it. In the meantime, though, the good news about the US-Australian relationship is you're sending some entertainment our way. Have a look.
To see what can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
To see what can be unburdened by what has been.
Yes, thank you very much, Kristin. Kamala Harris is coming to Australia, talking at some real estate conference on the Gold Coast, obviously collecting a big fee for this, presumably. Is this what she's reduced to now, spruiking herself at real estate conferences?
I mean, look, I'm actually shocked that Kamala Harris was invited to speak at this property conference. I'm not sure if your friends down under fully understand how embarrassingly ignorant our former vice president truly is. She speaks like a child, and I do not even mean an intelligent child. Everything she says is just a word salad, a bunch of words that don't make any sense at all. And she's literally an expert in nothing. I mean, she only became vice president because Joe Biden boxed himself in by saying he was going to choose a female of color. That severely limited his options. It was the classic example of DEI hiring. But to all my Australian friends out there, please don't judge us too harshly on Kamala Harris's speech. And if you are hoping to gain some pearls of wisdom from Kamala, you are going to be severely disappointed.
Yes, indeed. You won't get any wisdom from her, but she might get to enjoy the beach unburdened by what has been there before. We shall see. I've got to get your thoughts on women and Donald Trump, because there's been this great little social media clip being put out from the White House. Have a look.
If you look at feminism today, it doesn't make sense. The left has tried to erase what it means to be a woman.
It is so important that our future generations understand that there are two sexes.
What an incredibly refreshing change to have President Trump back in the White House, where we are seeing women, real women, recognized once again.
Well, this is a flip around, isn't it? From the misogynist in chief to the man who's liberating women in the US. What's your take on this one, Kristin?
This is just so significant because for decades, the GOP has failed to attract women, and that's mostly because of abortion. Women in the U.S. generally tend to favor abortion rights, as the Democrats call it. But the Democrats really shot themselves in the foot by making this transgender issue such a big deal, by telling Americans that they need to accept biological men entering women's and girls' bathrooms and locker rooms, and that if you say anything about it, you're a bigot. I mean, this is like a 95% issue here in America. 95% of voters agree that men should not be in these spaces for girls and women. And same with the sports issue. Girls need their own sports. And this is just a great example of the Democrats just shooting themselves in the foot, and Trump is seizing on that beautifully.
Spot on. Hard to stand up for women's rights when you won't even agree on what a woman is. Great to catch up with you as ever, Kristin.
Thank you very much, Chris.